Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 11 of Funny Ball. The A's are coming off a 6-game road trip where they had a series against the Rays and a series against the Braves. They went 2-4 over that stretch, going 1-2 in each of those series. And other than an exciting game, I think this was a perfectly monotonous 6 games of baseball that we have experienced.
Yeah, I plan to remember this road trip for the rest of my life, honestly, to think back on it, all that we learned about this team and about life. So yeah, very memorable, and I can't wait to talk about all the things that happened.
Well, we got some lumps of coal to dish out, I guess. I guess I'll be dishing out my lump of coal here.
Ugh.
So, yeah. My
It,
first lump of
it
coal,
makes me upset that
and
you insist on just doing this every episode.
I do. Well, we take turns, but, it's been a while.
I don't know.
So, I do.
I don't know.
I insist.
I don't know if we take turns or not. I think check the tape.
I will, and it will support what I said.
Oh no. We don't
right.
have the tape in front of us right now. But anyway, go ahead,
No,
do
we
your
don't.
thing. Give a lump of coal out to somebody.
I like how you try to just gaslight me that we don't switch off every other episode there.
I mean, I don't remember ever giving out coal to anyone that wasn't Nick Allen, but I think that's perfectly deserved every time it happens. So, technically, I don't think I've ever given out.
Boys down. The guy hasn't played, a major league inning in
Exactly.
I don't know,
And I don't think I've given out a
while.
lump of coal since, I think I stuck to my guns there.
That can go on the record. You can book that. I haven't given a lump of coal since Nick Allen got optioned to AAA.
I haven't. You're right. I haven't done it since. And if I ever do it again, just I hope the audience knows it was with a weapon to my head, because I would never do that. Come on.
The weapon to your head being A's baseball.
Whoa, that's the worst thing you've said so far. Wow. All right, give out your lump of coal after that.
It actually makes it look better, like what I'm about to say anyway. So I sort of did that to soften the blow. Anywho, my first lump of coal is actually going to be like a general first base lump that I'm going to put out.
Yeah.
I'm going to split it. I'm not going to chop it in half. It's going to be just like one lump each, but it will go in the record as the general first base lump.
All right. I'm trying to think of how the record books work after that.
Well, I guess.
So it's not a half lump.
It's
I guess an
lump.
Asterisk lump. Ooh, what if we have
Yes.
a lump in the record book that's like a different color, like a red lump of coal or something?
But I feel like a red lump of coal implies that it's like red hot. Like this is like either
Ooh.
This is like going to be a hot take of a lump, or like
blue lump. I feel like that's a pretty neutral.
Yeah,
cool
I mean a blue
color.
lump of coal. If I saw a blue lump of coal, I guess that'd be all right.
I just kind of want to write blue lump in the record books a lot.
All right, so I'm gonna dish out a blue lump of coal.
2 of them,
a general one, 2 of them.
Yeah.
To Tyler Soderstrom and Aledmus Diaz, who have been splitting time at first base in the absence of J.D. Davis, who I believe made his return during the Braves series, but. Yeah, first base hasn't been overly exciting to watch. I guess I can't ride either of them too hard because neither of them have played an excessive amount of baseball in the last 6 games. Aledmus Diaz, I know, came off of the injured list and was promoted. Actually, yeah, he was promoted from AAA and usually plays at shortstop, but he is seeing time at first base. Soderstrom hasn't registered a hit in the last 6 games. He's only gotten on base because of 3 walks and 1 hit by pitch. 2 of those walks occurred in the same game. And yeah, Aledmus Diaz has 1 hit in 11 plate appearances, 2 strikeouts. I guess we haven't really seen enough of his defense to really judge him. I don't recall seeing anything overly egregious in the last 6 games, so I guess that's good. I assume J.D. Davis is probably going to be taking the lion's share of the reps at first base now that he's going to be back. And that's my blue lump. 2 blue lumps.
Yeah, I was about to say, you can't downplay 2 of them. 2 lumps. Those are good lumps. I like those lumps.
First base is taking their lumps this year.
Yeah, yeah, sure has. What is it, like 1 for 19 combined? If that was one dude, he would be getting more than one or two blue lumps. I'm sure of that. So yeah, it's worthy. Although like Diaz at least has some upside, where like Soderstrom, especially because I'm sure they don't feel like they're done developing him at catcher. I would think that he's not at least an immediate plan at all at first base. And once Davis comes back, that will be done unless injuries happen again. But Diaz, I mean, natural shortstop, second baseman, other known as middle infielder. Yeah, I mean, he's all right. He plays it well enough that if he catches enough fire with the bat, I mean, JD Davis has been so cold, and hot that, like, yeah, I could potentially see a takeover plan there. A lot of guys getting good time right now that I don't think we necessarily saw taking over at the beginning of the year. So yeah, good lumps, and we'll see about Diaz. But 1 star. Is it my turn to give out a star to somebody?
I think it is.
Ooh, I'm excited for this one. I've been waiting on this one for a little while now. I will spare no more time. Luis Medina, welcome back. Just shoved. I was about to say just shoved, like, all he did was shove, but he literally just shoved the other day. And 5.2, 2 hits. Just a good start regardless of outcome and yada yada yada. It's great to see a young pitcher back in the rotation just pitch well. And you can start to see a plan here. If there's 8 guys kind of vying for the rotation, with how many guys have kind of stepped up in lieu of injury, you can see some guys kind of battling it out for those spots if they get healthy, and we can see some maybe good competition. And Medina would be a huge part of that if he could stay healthy. So just good stuff. Not much more to talk about. The 2 hits thing is cool, just to come back and no one can really touch it. So yeah. Nothing more to add for me.
Yeah, well, I think what also has been pretty cool is that his fastball's been his fastball velocity, I believe, was above league average in that start. It was around 96 miles per hour, I believe,
Yeah,
which is it's above league average. So no, I was happy to see that.
it's definitely not a crazy contrast from his average, which is the big thing. So looked healthy is the main point. It's
Yeah,
good that you noted that he looked healthy, and all the reports around, I know Kotz had good things to say about where he's at. Obviously, come in after a while, and 2/3 and 2 hits and what he did. So yeah, I kind of wish I could give him more than 1 star, but if you lose the game, or at least if the team loses the game, and the game was a pretty forgettable one, it is what it is. So definitely had to recognize our boy.
yeah, we'll give that to him. Can I give my 2 lumps, like my 2 regular like black lumps of coal?
Mm. Okay, yeah.
I guess I'll be giving that to Aaron Brooks, the
Mm.
other pitcher that's been seeing some time in starting rotation. He is no longer going to be seeing time in starting rotation, as he has just been optioned to AAA. It's a bit of a reach. He did
Talk
have a
about kicking him
nuclear.
while he's down, Nick
Yeah, I
Gallo.
mean the guy had a nuclear meltdown in the bottom of the 5th against the Braves. He gave up 4 hits and 3 runs just in that inning alone before he was pulled for TJ McFarland, who probably, I think, gave up another couple runs himself. The A's still won the game, so I can't, really heap it on Aaron Brooks. He had 7 earned, 1 strikeout, 1 walk, and 4.1 innings of work. I believe like 79 pitches. He had 12 called strikes and 8 whiffs. I guess it was kind of a weird game because Chris Sale also had 8 whiffs. Kind of a strange game all around. And the most exciting one was kind of a weird one. But yep, his time in the starting rotation has came and went. He is back in AAA. Presumably, we will continue to see some. It's just so hard to like keep track of just who's starting as the pitchers for the A's, because I remember seeing that Luis Medina was like on the mound. I was like, what? I know he just got activated. It's like, dang, I can't believe like he's already like back starting again. And because I think now it's what Luis Medina, JP Sears, Luis Medina, Hogan Harris,
Mitch Spence.
Mitch Spence, yeah, who's been holding his own. I got to give him that. And I legit cannot pull the
I'm
fifth
just
name.
worried I'll say a wrong name.
I don't, I couldn't tell you what the next name is. I can look at who's projected.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll actually no. I'll look at the most recent. Oh, Joey Estes.
Oh,
Joey Estes.
Shoot, I should have had that. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. But again, like the turnover rate has just been like bonkers at the on the mound for the start. But yeah, I'll give 2 lumps to Aaron Brooks. I'm not. I don't think anybody's really blown away by his stuff. I know he did have one good game. A few starts ago, he gave some length. I think against the Astros actually.
Yeah, no, it was like 7 innings. I still think he lost and gave up 4 runs, but
yeah, they did. But
but good length.
Aside,
length is cool with this bullpen right now.
Sure. We'll take it. We'll take it. But good lumps. Like another one bites the dust in the rotation.
If you have to give out lumps, got to give them out to Aaron Brooks. It's a good rule. Yeah. All right, stars. Should we get the mood back up?
Yeah, we should. Pump it up.
All right. I didn't like how you just kind of slighted Mitch Spence. You're like, all right, he's been holding his own. No, Mitch Spence has been good, and that's what I say. Mitch Spence just threw the most pitches talking about length. I believe in his career, but definitely this season for him at 98. And I'll go to the stats. I mean, I can just say he kind of didn't give up anything in 5 1/3, and that would suffice. But yeah, just 1 hit, 1 walk. A's gave up no runs in the game. A very pretty looking score at the end too, and 3-0. And Mitch Spence is like fun to me. Like I love his delivery. It's hard to funk it up as a righty. Sometimes, especially if you're not a reliever and you have to kind of, do what you're doing in volume on the mound. But Spence has like a funky arm angle that I'm sure is like not super fun, especially with how much movement he has on like the slider and of course the curveball that I've talked about ad nauseum. But yeah, it's I could see the vision of like there's certain pitchers where you watch them pitch and it's like, oh, he's not given up more than 2 earned in the past 7 starts. And you're like, well, that's really good. And then you kind of watch them pitch and it's like, they're good. They do everything seemingly pretty well. They seem to have good command, all of that. But there's nothing that really stands out. To me, those players don't like sustain excellence over a super long period of time. Usually all the best guys have like something that makes them stand out, for lack of a better phrase, and it could be the velocity of a certain pitch, the movement of a certain pitch, their delivery, their angle, just being overall funky like a Greinke or a Nestor Cortez. Like there's just something that stands out, and to me there's like maybe a path for Spence to continue to develop because that arm angle coupled with the movement on his slider and his curveball and just the early returns on his slider and curveball, there's something there, and he throws with enough, velo on the fastball where it's like, I don't think that's a, real downside to his game or anything either. So yeah, lots of love going Mitch Spence's way today.
Also, didn't even realize this is actually his rookie season.
Yeah. It's been like
I
floating
totally forgot
around.
that. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I know, like, he's a 26-year-old rookie, but like, so he's been in the minors for a bit. But I just like keep forgetting that he's actually a rookie. Like he's been having a solid year, and like he started as a solid reliever for the A's, and then now he's just stepped up. I think that's what like has made it like really exciting is like he has really stepped up, and when all the injuries like really started, happening for the A's, when it was his time to step, like he got the call, like the first call up to the mound. It was like, oh, that felt deserved, like because I know like they had a few relievers who, could provide some length and, probably pinch start if needed to. But yeah, no,
they've certainly gone to a fair amount of them this year.
Yeah.
They've
we're
gone through the Rolodex.
We're a Mitch Spence pod, though. I know we've talked about him before.
Always.
And, seen some exciting stuff from him. But it's good to see that I I wouldn't see, why they would move him back to the bullpen. I mean, I think, he's been doing just fine in the rotation.
We'll see how he holds up. Like, I definitely
Yeah.
agree. If he stays healthy, he's going to have to struggle to be moved out. And I think even the worst manager, which we don't have, we have a great manager and actually seemingly some stability at several levels of the organization at the very least, because this team is overachieving right now, obviously. Yeah, I believe even poor stability within an organization, they'd realize that this guy needs to stay in the rotation if he's healthy, because, and I keep saying healthy because 98 pitches, it's a really good sign that he can already go that long after beginning the year as a relief pitcher, a long relief pitcher. But as you said, he didn't come into the year expecting to start games, especially not this early. So we'll see if he holds up and he keeps going and keeps hitting the 90s and the 80s or the 100s once or twice and doesn't get hurt and still pitches all right, then like that could be a really low key fun guy, because I don't think anyone's thinking of Mitch Spence right now, but for the reasons I mentioned, just of how I do think that there's a path to him being a pretty dominant guy that can stand out among other pitchers, as well as if he's given the performance. Yeah, we'll see. But a guy that we haven't really even talked too much about, aside from like anecdotal stuff up until now. So definitely eyes on Spence. That's the new slogan of the pod.
Yeah. Eyes on Spence. I like
eyes
that.
on Spence. Put it on a shirt. First shirt. Got anything else on our old good buddy Mitch?
No, I'm excited to see him pitch again. I didn't think
Fingers
I'd be saying
crossed
that, but
he does at some point.
I believe he is taking the mound against the Mariners in Game 1. He is.
Would have sucked if
that's
they
gonna be
sent him down.
That's a matchup. Mitch Spence and George Kirby.
It's fun.
That's an interesting matchup.
Battle of the underrated unknowns,
Yeah.
Kirby more so.
Well, I mean,
in terms of
Kirby's definitely
better,
a little more known. Like, yeah.
Well, but honestly, like, I don't want to rag on George Kirby on the Funny Ball podcast too much, of all people. But like, I don't even know if you're going through Seattle saying George Kirby, how many people are turning their head. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's weird because so it's kind of a funny story. So on Twitter, X, or whatever the heck it's called these days, but like I follow a dude who like is just this like pitching nerd that kind of made up his own stat. It's actually a great account. It's really good for me, like, look at it just because he keeps up with a lot of like daily pitching stuff. It's a guy by the name of Thomas Nestico. I forget his handle, but the stat that he worked on is called TJ Stuff Plus. It's basically like a composite stat. I forget like what he had a whole article on Medium that like went through what it was compiled of, but he's a big fan of George Kirby. So I guess like in my in my Twitter feed, like I've been seeing a lot of George Kirby just because like this guy's been like talking about like, dude, like his stuff is good and he's got like a very diverse arsenal and like it's been awesome. So I guess maybe like he thinks that according to like his pitching metrics and like the stuff, I guess like, the arsenal and like the weak contact he's been inducing,
he or you don't have to do a monologue about why George Kirby's great. I feel like anyone that really
I'm certainly
knows baseball, like knows.
I'm certainly
George
not doing
Kirby's,
that,
because that's not what I wasn't saying. Like, he's not good enough to be known. He is he's good enough to be a known player. I just think that like it is a thing that like there's so few like actually known famous baseball players, and I don't think George Kirby's one of them.
No,
I just
I
like there's Mariners.
I'm not calling him a household name.
There's like casual Mariners fans that like would say they're Mariners fans, that like know who J-Rod and might even know who Cal Raleigh are, but it's like, I don't know, for some reason there's always like players that are good, but it's like no one knows who they are. Like like I was about to say a couple guys, and I'm already blanking on their name a little bit. You have like Merrill Kelly.
There you go.
Merrill Kelly started the most important game for the United States in the World Baseball Classic. He's the ace of the team that just went to the World Series. Yet he looks like Merrill Kelly, and he's Merrill Kelly, and no one really knows who Merrill Kelly is. And I'm sure he's fine with that. He gets paid. But yeah, it's like versus any other sport, and there's so many baseball players compared to any other sport, especially like basketball, where you have a lot of pretty famous players. You have your famous players, but yeah, you have a lot of really talented guys that are like very important to their teams, just as important as a lot of the guys that are famous. That just, yeah. And they don't, it's partially because they don't care for the other stuff, the bells and whistles that come with being a professional athlete. They want to get paid, go home, do whatever they like to do, have their family or don't, whatever they want to do. Merrill Kelly seems to be one of those guys, because I don't think I've ever seen a Merrill Kelly commercial or anything like that.
Merrill Lynch is like really missing out on a good opportunity with that.
Ooh.
You heard it here first.
I'm imagining it. Ooh. All right. Yeah. Get on it, Merrill
Lynch featuring Merrill Kelly. Yeah.
I do know that half of our audience base is just comprised of Merrill Lynch employees, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Shout out to the offices of Merrill Lynch and Associates for, and I said and Associates as if it's like a law firm. It's not a law firm. But
it's cool though. We're on full blast on their radios, their shortwave radios throughout the offices.
Yeah.
That's something I heard. But where were we? Merrill Kelly.
We're at dishonorable
where were we
mentions.
Before that?
We're at dishonorable mentions.
For the tangent that he caused me to go on. I didn't do the tangent. That was all Merrill Kelly's fault.
Yeah.
Dishonorable mention. That's fair.
Well, I got two. I got two. I guess the first one I'll say is just that one error in the Rays series. And it's funny, like my sister said, it sounded like the start to a bad joke. Like, how many A's players in the outfield does it take to catch a fly ball from Randy Arozarena? And the answer is 4, because JJ Bleday is going to commit the error, and then Max Schuman's going to run into him, and then 2 other guys are going to be sitting there like scratching their butts, just not really knowing what to do. And yeah, that was just bad baseball. So
you just killed in some empty club in Oakland right now. 3 dudes just loved you from the back.
I see him.
Someone's giving you an
Oakland
FXX
Peanut Gallery.
deal. Yeah, exactly.
I'm a champion of the Oakland Peanut Gallery.
Ooh,
I think.
Another T-shirt. Champion of the Oakland Peanut Gallery. Rolls off the tongue.
Raise the banner. Raise the banner.
Raise that
there you
banner.
Go. My actual dishonorable mention is going to be for Zach Geloff.
Mm.
So I know he's
registered 4
hits. Yeah, he registered 4 hits in his last 6 games. He hasn't looked great. I don't think he was quite deserving enough of a lump, but he certainly has not been exciting, and just kind of like continued to have a bit of a slumping sophomore year. And I will say, I think his stats would have looked a lot better had that home run, a potential 2-run homer, not been robbed over the wall by Jose Siri. Jose Siri was just playing absolutely lights out in that game anyway. Just, great defense, and there's not much he could have done about that. But yeah, Geloff just hasn't been overly exciting. I mean, I'm glad he's healthy. I'm glad he's playing second base and, holding down that job as the everyday starter. But you just would really, 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 really like to see some life at the plate. Again, it's not bad enough for me to really dish out a lump, but it hasn't been good.
I mean, Gel is off, I don't have anything to follow with that. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I like that. Gel is off.
Yeah, it also took a lot within me to not do a hey Siri joke right there. If you know, you know.
Yeah,
cool.
Real ones would get that one.
Real ones know. Honorable mention, not dishonorable mention. This is where we award people by mentioning
Hats off,
them
honor.
honorably.
Yeah,
That's gonna go to our friend Joey Estes.
I
I'll,
like that.
I'll pull up the stats. I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
pull 'em up
5
too.
innings, two hits, 2 walks, five SOs. That's what they call strikeouts. The kids. Yeah, just good start. Again, another one that's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle probably with the performances of some other guys, but yeah, it's just it's maybe grading on a curve in favor of Joey and a couple of the other guys in the similar predicament. But yeah, just when these guys that weren't in the rotation to start the year weren't really on people's short list of guys to talk about at the beginning of the year. And by a short list, I mean long list as well. Yeah, to just kind of come up and just be good enough usually and be quite really good sometimes. It's great. It's a lot of very general praise. But yeah, just the fact that Joey, Mitch Spence stepping into the starting rotation, these guys are doing really praiseworthy stuff is great. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Joey, even if I don't think he was worthy of a star more than the other guys I've talked about.
Yeah, I will say his it's kind of funny. His the run value of his slider so far this season is a -5.
Oh,
Woof. Yeah.
Stop
It's
throwing
not like
it,
his most favorite
Joey.
pitch.
Stop
Yeah.
throwing the slider.
Stop throwing your slider.
They
It's
see
terrible.
it coming. They see it coming, Joey. They know it's coming.
Sliding across home.
It's sliding right to the middle every time.
Yeah.
Get to
Not
slide
great.
away, Joey.
Yeah.
But no, Joey's been great. Jokes.
Yeah.
Jokes within and aside. He's been good. So praise be Joey.
Mm-hmm. Another guy who, I think has a real shot at staying in the rotation once some guys return. I think, should be interesting to see if he sticks around.
Joey's kind of on that list of guys that I was kind of referring to where it's like you watch him pitch and you're like, yeah, certainly a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, probably. Everything, he checks all the, boxes in that regard, but, you don't really see, like, I don't know how this guy becomes dominant per se. But the stats have been good. And I feel like he might have to show a bit more than a guy like Mitch Spence, but I mean, I certainly think it's within the realm, like you said, that he sticks around and could, like Joe Boyle got, sorry for saying his name for the first time in 5 episodes or whatever it's been, but he's probably going to have to prove himself, a little bit. Him especially, just because he got that last spot at the beginning of the year, and the other guys that I heard have a bit more of track records and are getting paid actual money. So I think that's going to be interesting. The battle between Boyle v. Spence and Estes. Boyle v. Estes. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That's the pound for pound. It's the duke it out in the old game of fisticuffs.
Sorry, Mitch, your name's not funny enough.
Yeah,
but
well, I also like Mitch Spence. I truly think will remain part of the starting rotation. I think. I mean, what are they gonna do? Like throw Alex Wood and Ross Stripling especially? Are they throw him back out there? I mean,
when I say that Alex Wood's going to be available for a bag of chips and whatever his salary is, I do think that the A's, if they stay healthy, it's a long year. Joey Estes can need Tommy John within a month. I can't believe I just said that about a specific player. And yeah, I didn't mean to do that, dude. It's locker room talk, man. But we're gonna be on Estes watch for the next month now.
It's gonna be a dark day in the pod when you Nostradamus Joey Estes getting Tommy John.
Dude, I'm not even gonna continue to talk on that. Yeah. Anyway, but anything could happen to anybody. Hope it doesn't happen to Joey of all people, but if it does, there's even more guys that can step up, and you've got the hurt guys that can step in. So usually problems and good problems, like you've got too many mediocre pitchers for your starting rotation. Usually those problems solve themselves. So we'll see.
You got any other honorable mentions to give out?
I don't. I only wrote down Joey's name. Should I? I don't think
No,
so.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I think it's good. We should have a no reliever episode unless you're about to just lambast a relief pitcher, because I feel like we've been keying in on them, and it was just such an like I can't, like TJ McFarland gave up some runs, but we've even talked.
I was
going to
say he crossed my mind. It was a passing thought to bring up TJ McFarland.
Which is fair, but like even so, and like it would be fair for these series because even like a couple. Let me see what it was. It was 2 earned and 2 2/3 innings. No bueno. Not incredibly bad, but not good. But yeah, I feel like some of these other guys have bigger contributions, and we're too much of a light on these relief pitchers. They're kind of they're supposed to be the underrated, not talked about, but they get the dirty work done, and I feel like we're pampering them a little bit on this pod. So,
well, partially because if there was like a stretch in time where it's like, dude, the A's might actually have the best bullpen in baseball.
We're so far removed that I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, that was true for a second. Remember Danny Jimenez?
He had a save. He did have a save. He did have a save. I mean, Lucas Ursay hit the IL, which kind of sucks.
Are you talking about like on the mound or our hearts?
No, like on the mound, he actually recorded a save.
No, I know, but he also saved our hearts.
Oh, well, that too.
Yeah. It's got 3 saves.
That's pretty dope. Yeah.
It's pretty dope.
I think he actually got credited with a win this season, too.
I don't even want to look at the minor league numbers for Danny right now, just on the off chance.
No. Like in the majors.
I know what you're talking about. I was just thinking that, like, I haven't looked at what he's done in the minors. So.
Okay, like that's just that. Just the thought of that. Just okay.
Well, in case they're not good numbers, and then I've got to have Danny Jimenez struggling in the minors on my conscience the rest of the day.
That's all on you. Remember that.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean. That's a sad thought. Danny on buses going from game to game to pitch 1 inning every few days and against 18-year-olds and not doing it well. I don't want to think about that. If I got to be honest.
Credited with that win. Oh, he got credited with a win in the final game of the very first series against the Guardians. Yeah, with the walk-off walk. Okay, to Abraham Toro. Yeah. Or to, yeah.
Abraham he was on top of the world.
He was. It was a great day in Danny Jimenez's inner circle.
Ooh, I've got a fun Aaron Brooks stat. Do you want a fun Aaron Brooks stat?
Sure.
His ERA for the last start was the same as his hits allowed per 9. 14.54. Now, that seems harder to accomplish and until you remember that it was just the fact that he gave up 7 hits and 7 runs, which is why those numbers are the same. But 14.54 in 2 different locations is funny to see, and I wanted to shout that out. 1.85.
I'm sure Aaron Brooks really appreciated it. What's that one? What's that one thing from Phineas and Ferb with Doofenshmirtz? It's like like if I had a nickel for every time that what was it? Aaron Brooks had a stat, a pitching metric.
Like I'd have 15, 1 nickel, 14. Right?
Yeah, I have 2 nickels. Which isn't
you
a lot.
You made a reference to a show that I never really watched a lot growing up, but you made like the one reference I got.
Yeah. I'd have 2 nickels, but it's weird that it happened twice.
That's good stuff.
I probably butchered the delivery of that, but whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, send the hate mail to Will. Don't involve me in that hate mail audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can partially put it on Trevor because he brought up this Aaron Brooks stat like after we had moved on and after Aaron Brooks's career in the majors was dead and gone.
I will cop to that. I will accept that. Okay. All right. Back on track on my end. Apologize about that. Let's talk more about Aaron Brooks.
And that was the thing that you had in the chamber. Okay, sure.
I got upset that we changed the
All
subject.
right,
I
fine.
wanted to create
All
a
right, regale
diversion.
me with more Aaron Brooks.
I don't have anything else to say about Aaron
Oh,
Brooks.
okay.
I lied.
That was just a big letdown then.
Yeah, it's a diversion. I'm planning something much bigger.
Okay, that was a smoke bomb that's now blinded me, and now I can't see.
Yeah,
I can't see Spider-Man.
Snake eyes.
Yeah, I like it.
But anyway, give out those lumps.
Okay. 3 lumps.
Okay.
I'm gonna make this short and sweet. I'm gonna make it short and sweet. 3 lumps. Seth Brown. 16 plate appearances. .192 OPS. 9 strikeouts in 5 games. Pretty much lost them a game. Please get Andahar and Daz Cameron in the corners more. That's it. That's my spiel.
Yeah, I don't know what more there is to dwell on. Good spiel. Seth bad. 3 stars.
that alone deserved 3 stars. I'm so
Thank you.
but I love it. We're here for it. Seth bad.
3 stars. Let's stop talking about that other guy. Let's talk about Miguel Andujar, Miggy, as he's known in some circles. What are the numbers on Miggy here? Let's pull them up.
Miggy has
I got it. Hey, I got it.
I was ready to pick it up in case you need it.
He's got a lower on base percentage than average, which is just painfully just representative of the type of player he is. When you factor in that the average is 400 and his on base is 385 in his 6-game sample, 10 for 25, 10 freaking RBIs. That's double, next highest on the team in this sample. Brent Rooker, who is the captain, as we've said on multiple occasions. Yeah, to come in here in his first real, as I was saying, Miguel Andujar, 10 for 25, 10 RBIs. That's double the next highest on the team in the stretch with Brent Rooker, who had 5. You can't do any better in 6 games realistically than hit 400 and have 10 RBIs. And especially considering the context of he wasn't on this active roster a couple weeks ago, you could almost say a week ago. Special and like such a fun player to have in the lineup, where like it's kind of like he and Brent Rooker are like a weird yin and yang in a way, where like it's not perfect because they're both righties and they both have a couple pretty similar crucial downsides to each of their games. But like Rooker is like, he's swinging and missing a lot, and we'll get into that later. He's swinging and missing a lot. And Duhar, he's swinging a ton, and he's just like, his whole goal is like, I want to see how many times I can touch my bat to the ball every game. Like, that's just his goal. Even a foul ball seems to be a win. Like, he's just trying to hit as many balls as possible, as funny and simple as that seems. And it's just a fun, entertaining at bat most of the time, even if he kind of gets to go back to the dugout after 3 pitches sometimes. Other times he'll just hit balls harder and more often than most other players. It's just a really long-winded, partially grammatically incorrect way of just saying Miggy good, Seth bad.
That works for me.
Yeah. Anything else on Miggy? I mean, again,
no, Miggy's been fun. It's
400
been
batting average,
yeah.
385 on base in this stretch. Obviously, no walks, and that's the Miggy game. That's what you pay to see. You don't pay to see a man walk.
Yeah. Right? Well, what also has been great about Miggy is that he's been their starter at left field now. For these last 2 series, so it's cool to see that. Finally, there's some outfielders who are holding down spots. I mean, Bladay's pretty much been their center fielder at this point. And yeah, I like it. I think I really like where Andujar's hitting in the lineup right now too. I
Yeah.
think they've been toying around with like like two or like I think mostly like in the two hole, but like I like where he is.
He's
It
firmly a
just
two, and I
yeah
definitely am one of those people of the belief put your best hitter second. You know, usually that's the correct thing to do. So, and not even to say Mickey's the best hitter. I mean, such a small sample, and Brent Rooker is legitimately one of the better hitters in all of baseball right now. But to a guy that is so aggressive, and stuff, it's like, and to have the protection of Brent Rooker as well. I'm sure that, like, I'm sure he would say it behind closed doors, and certainly in front of closed doors. That having the protection of Rooker is awesome. Just how many pitches he's probably
yeah
getting to see a guy that loves to hit pitches, as we've noted. So, yeah, good stuff. Is absolutely obviously the headline of the past two series. And like legitimately makes me excited to turn on games, is like to watch his plate appearances. So that's cool.
yeah.
But that's all I got on old Miggy Andujar. You got anything? It's pretty much
I
everything I
don't, but
think.
I'm interested. Yeah, I don't, but I'm a little interested to hear about what you got to say about Brent Rooker. Was that your other
Oh,
thing? Swinging and
ooh.
missing.
Do you want to get me going on something?
Oh, I think I do. I think I do. I
Are
want to hear
you
about
sure?
yeah. I'm yeah, I am. I want to hear
There's
a
no
bit about Brent
stopping
Rooker
what's
swinging and
about to
missing.
happen. Just say the word.
The word.
Oh no, he said the word. Alrighty, Brent Rooker. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about a small aspect of it, actually. Not all of it. He whiffs and he rakes. That's who Brent Rooker is. All right, he has a 36.5 whiff percentage. That's really high. That literally just means that of all the times that Brent Rooker swings his bat in a plate appearance, he swings and misses 36% of the time. It's a lot, and the more you think about it and know that normal numbers are more in the lower 20s and stuff like that, the more wild it is. And when you remember that Brent Rooker right now has an OPS of 0.921, anything over 800 is considered, if not elite, then really good. And to be above 900, I didn't look this specific part up. I can't imagine there's more than 10 guys right now, or at least 15, with over 900 OPSs in all of baseball. And funny enough, no player in MLB history has ever had a whiff percentage at the end of a season of 36 or higher and an OPS of 900 or higher. So pretty much to say, you can maybe be quite good, even have an 800 OPS, but no one's ever been an elite hitter swinging and missing around as much as Brent Rooker does or more. And the highest OPS by someone with a whiff percentage of 36 or higher is Franmil Reyes with an OPS of 822, which is a full rung below what Rooker's doing right now, a whole level of hitter below what Brent Rooker is right now. And he had a 36.5 whiff percentage, which is literally what Rooker's is right now in 2019. And I forgot to mention, though, Reyes did that, high whiff percentage, 822 OPS. Forgot to mention Joey Gallo, the exception that proves every rule, in my opinion, who had an 870 OPS in 2017 and a whiff rate of 43.4. All right. A whiff rate of
Wow.
43.4, that is the highest whiff rate of all time. No one's
Actually,
whiffed more. Yes, that is
that's
true.
funny.
Whiff rate has been recorded only since 2015, but even going back in time, I only thought of one guy who potentially before 2015 could have ousted him, or two guys, Adam Dunn and Chris Davis. And looking at their numbers compared to that year and their strikeouts and the amount of play appearances, I'm pretty sure still Joey Gallo has him beat. But at the very least, that would be close. Anyway, we can say with pretty good conviction all time, with absolute conviction since 2015, no one has whiffed more in a season than Joey Gallo, and it wasn't very close. No one was within 2 percentage points of him. But I didn't want to stop there. I was like, that's kind of crazy. He had a really good year while swinging and missing more than anyone ever has pretty much in the history of the game. I was like, how good of a season did Joey Gallo have in the history of the game? Just saying it was one of the better in the history of the game, looking at a big chart or whatever, that not only does so much for me. I had to know how good it was truly. And the only way to know that was to know how good of a season, when you rank all seasons of all time by OPS, how good was Joey Gallo's, and how many have there ever been when you're looking at qualified plate appearances? So I had to know how many seasons where a hitter had enough qualified plate appearances. How many seasons have there been like that? Usually that means 500 plate appearances or more in a season for a player. So pretty much, long-winded way of saying, how many seasons have happened where a player had 500 plate appearances or more? And I looked in the past 2 decades, give or take 140 players every year have the minimum qualified plate appearances, around 500. And that's with 30 teams. And it's like, well, MLB hasn't always had 30 teams, of course. So now you got to go back. And I kind of found there's 7 distinct eras in MLB history where there is kind of generally the same amount of teams in those eras. What I mean by that is there's a kind of 20-year era where there was on average 12 teams in the sport kind of, during that era, with the exception of a team kind of getting established one year, going away the next year, another one getting established. But if you were to average out the amount of teams in Major League Baseball for those 20 years or whatever, you would get 12. Then for another era, you'd get 18. Then for another 24. And I essentially did the math to say, all right, so you do 140 divided by 30, then you multiply that by the amount of teams currently in the sport that one time. That's how many qualified players you should have had for that season. So I did this for every season since 1876.
Oh, wow.
And I was able
That's
to
impressive.
determine, I didn't say that all in a perfect way, and I'm not a mathematician, although the math here is pretty good, I think. But I just want to simplify everything that I've been saying. There have been 12,637 qualified seasons put up by hitters. That's to say that 12,637 times a hitter has had 500 plate appearances in a season, or whatever the qualifying amount was for that season, because you have shortened seasons, you have other times, and whatever. Joey Gallo, if you were to look at every season ever had that was a qualified season ever since 1876 in Major League Baseball, and you were to just put them on a list ranking from 1 to 12,000 whatever by OPS, Joey Gallo has the 2,421st best OPS season ever among qualified hitters. If you were to then divide 2,421 by the 12,637, you get 19.1. And if you were to look a little deeper in that, that means that Joey Gallo's best season, which happens to be the worst season ever, technically, in terms of hitting a baseball, was better than 81% of all other Major League seasons ever played. If that makes sense. So anyway, all that to say, swing and miss doesn't always equal bad. And in the words of J.K. Simmons' character, CIA Superior, in the 2008 Coen Brothers film, Burn After Reading, I don't really know what we learned either. I guess we learned to never do this again. And I learned to never go on a Joey Gallo, Baseball Savant, Baseball Reference, Wikipedia deep dive ever again, because I felt like when I was done, I had nearly wasted an hour of my life. But it was the friends we made along the way, wasn't it?
I have no notes. It's brilliant. That's what Funny Ball's about.
That's what it's all about.
I mean, but
yeah.
it is an interesting thing to say. It's like, you have a player who rakes, and you have a player that also, while they rake, they also just, they whiff. And I guess ultimately, it seems like in the long run, and it sort of sounds like that you've done the math for the long run, that it's the raking and the hitting that is going to stand the test of time for a qualified hitter. Just to bring this back to Brent Rooker a bit, I just want to read off the list of people, the company that he's in for players that have a higher OPS this year. I was looking that up.
Yeah, I
So
actually
I'm
was
just
looking
going
at
to go
that
down the
too.
list of players that have a better OPS than Brent Rooker: Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Marcell Ozuna, Shohei Ohtani, Kyle Tucker, Gunnar Henderson, Mookie Betts, and Rafael Devers. That's it. Like that. Like Brent Rooker's ninth in the MLB with his
That was
OPS
Ozuna
currently.
from the Braves, right?
Yes, Ozuna from the Braves. The only three that are actually have an OPS above one are Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Ozuna.
Nice.
Now, I also did take a gander at some of the other people in that company, like their whiff rates. One that stuck out to me, who had a high whiff rate, I believe, and let me just quick check that to make sure I'm not giving you bad information, but was Aaron Judge actually has like a
Yeah.
worse whiff rate than I expected.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
31.5. He's 15th percentile. I
not
mean, it's nowhere near as
anymore, really. That was kind of, well, I mean, it's still not great, but it used to be really bad. Like 2017, it was like historically for like a really
Mhm.
good season. Like I'm sure it was like top 50 or top 30, even worst ever. But now it's not awful. Like he has only like 10 more strikeouts or 12 more strikeouts and walks this year, I think. Um, but that doesn't
Players that
necessarily
had like
correlate to a better whiff rate.
yeah, and then there's two guys that like had like of that list like had like completely opposite, like they whiff of a very low rate. Juan Soto and Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, yeah. Soto's nasty, and Tucker's been
Yeah,
nasty this year. He's hitting hitting the fastball this year.
yeah,
Saw
he
that.
absolutely has. No, Kyle Tucker's been raking it in.
Yeah, jeez. But yeah, so about Brent Rooker, all of that Joey Gallo business to say. If you're getting mad at Brent Rooker swinging and missing a lot, get over yourself for one. I don't anticipate there's any of you out there, but if there are, get over yourself. But if you're like most of us and you just see it and you're like, like that seems to happen a lot. Is that normal? Joey Gallo, yes. Yes. The answer is yes, it can be. And in Brett Rooker's case, the only reason it wouldn't be normal is just how good he is, and that he's able to, in spite of swinging and missing a lot, still hit for contact enough and have a high enough average this year and at least not be a perennially Mendoza line guy, because even last year it was in the 250s. So yeah, Brent Rooker, good no matter how you slice it. Even if you try to take an unflattering stat, you've got 81% of 12,000 that would kill to have the highest whiff rate of all time if they could have had what else came with it for Joey Gallo that year. And Joey Gallo would kill to have that season a million times over every year since. Literally every year since, he would have killed to have that season. So, yeah. Curious case of Gallo button.
Yeah, yeah. That's the curious case of I think you would just say Joey Gallo. The curious case of Joey Gallo.
I was gonna say
'Cause-
that, but then Gallo button made me laugh a little bit.
okay,
I went Gallo
yeah, I
button.
guess so. All right, we'll take that.
But yeah, Benjamin Gallo's not good either.
I'd be interested to see like this whole process again, but with like Brent Rooker after the season's said and done. Like, where does he stack up like all time?
So that's kind of my whole thing, and kind of my whole stay tuned element of that diatribe was, if Brent Rooker can manage to stay above a 900 OPS, and I assume he's going to be in the ballpark of what his whiff is right now, which is 36 and a half. He would be the first to ever do that or even remotely come close, other than that one Joey Gallo season. Because remember, Joey Gallo would be second in that. If you're looking at like whiff percentages 36 and a half or above, or 36 and above, he would have been second with an 870 OPS. Third place, like I said, 822. Like, but there's a lot of people in that like 780 to 820. It was pretty shocking. Maybe we put something up as a photo. Maybe it gets a little too confusing and numerical, but it was wild how like every player had that 780 to 820 and were like pretty good hitters, from like the worst whiff percentage to like the 20th worst in the past decade. And then you just had like a couple guys that were just bad, and then you had one or two that were standout good, Joey Gallo, and then if you go far enough down to see Aaron Judge, in terms, because Judge, even as worse, was whiffing under 36% at the time. That was like his rookie year where he struck out 200 something times. But yeah, so if Brent Rooker were to do this, he would be like standing on an island in terms of a pretty common MLB, especially nowadays, archetype. Like, to be the only one of a somewhat three outcome type player, to do something that's good, clearly the 900 OPS, in the fashion that he's doing it, really cool. Like, not something he's gonna brag about at the bars, like, hey, no one who's swung and missed as much as me is as good as me. Like, he's not gonna probably use that as an opener, but in terms of if he could maintain and have that be the case, it would be cool. Be cool. So yeah, that's why I got on that. I told you it was a lot, and we didn't learn much. Some of it was confusing. Some of it I probably botched the wording of and lost a couple people throughout. But the few people that stuck it out throughout that whole thing and were able to follow and stay on the same page. They're in for a world of more knowledge that they're probably hungry for right now. Like, all right, well, who had the fourth highest OPS in that time frame? Has anyone had an 850? What about, we're talking qualified plate appearances. What if we talk about unqualified? Let's go to 400. It's a whole world that I didn't even explore. So,
I'm floored by like the incredible amount of work that you did with that. I like nowhere in the beginning of that did I expect this to turn into a Joey Gallo rabbit hole. That like that completely blew my mind.
Well, no, the worst part is neither did I until too far
sure
deep into the rabbit hole. It became a Joey Gallo story.
It's also wild to me that like I guess it does kind of make sense, like having like 12,000 guys that qualified for that. Like that, like that was like the number since it is like a lot of years of baseball, but also, I mean, it is still surprising considering that, the league wasn't always 30 teams. I mean, like it was much smaller back in the day. And well, or I guess like, are you also including like stats from like the Negro leagues, like when, like now that that's been integrated into,
so if we want to get into it, I specifically, that's a whole really interesting discussion to me, because I definitely think in terms of talent of play and everything about it. Like, I definitely think they are not phony stats. Like, I think they're very real stats, and it's not like, oh, but what if Josh Gibson played against, old Shuey Magookin, like,
well,
no.
the other half of that is that, like, Shuey Magookin didn't play against Josh Gibson, like it's, so how can you really trust like
I
that
bet
as well?
you
Like,
Josh Gibson rakes in any baseball
it's a whole
league
other, half of
his era.
Talent in baseball that just was, didn't get to play till much later.
With that being said, the unfortunate thing, and why I actually purposefully had to even take more time in my research to make sure I didn't account for stats, because you have the Federal League too, you have some other stuff throughout, that very real, and a lot of teams and a lot of players and a lot of stats, is a lot of them are so much shorter of seasons. And it just I was noticing, and I made sure I looked, there's a lot of guys that were, even on their own teams at the time, not a top 4 hitter on certain teams, that have a career OPS of 1,000, and that might be slightly exaggerated, over 900, just really good career OPSs where you're like, oh, there's Tony Gwynn. Oh, and there's insert the, primary backup catcher for his career on a certain team in the Federal League or Negro League. So it's like, I don't know. I felt like it was just a bit safer just taking American League, National League, because it was all very consistent. but that's not to downplay the talent, especially of those other leagues, because I'm sure you can make a great case that even the talent could have been better, or at the very least on par. And even if not, I don't think we'll ever really know at this point. And especially since MLB's integrated the stats, that's them saying at the very least we think that the talent was just as good, or at least the proximity and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Of course.
yeah, I definitely did put some thought into it in terms of like trying to make it as authentic and as real of a stat as possible with the Joey Gallo of it all. So, and yeah, it was fun and interesting, like going back at just how baseball's changed. Like sometimes it would be like, oh, 6 years later, here's 4 more teams, or 40 years go by with pretty much the same structure, and then they have a certain change. And yeah, so I employ all of you to go down a Joey Gallo rabbit hole once in a while. You never know. Never know what you're going to find.
All right.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
Brent Rooker, or JJ Bleday's crushing fastballs. 7 run value. And he's just absolutely, not doing well. Insert expletive here with sliders. So if you're watching JJ Bleday and you see him crush a fastball, yeah, that's what it is. That's all I have to say on that. If you see him get a fastball, that's what he does.
That's what he does. Well, we'll get a chance to see JJ Bleday versus the fastball and other pitches and all these other fun things on the next couple series in the A's schedule, which will be at home. They'll be facing a solid Seattle Mariners team. Solid. I said solid. Yeah, they're solid. They're first in the AL West. What am I saying? Yeah, a very solid Seattle Mariners team at home in a 3-game series, and then that'll be followed by another 3-game homestand against the Toronto Blue Jays. Should be interesting. We will.
Bo Bichette's the worst player in baseball. I mean, statistically, I don't argue with numbers.
They argue with the wall, not numbers.
Yeah. Man, that team. It's a good thing we're talking about the A's, not the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. trade rumors. It's not fun.
Yeah, they went out and like shut those down though, like with Bo Bichette and
they should. I mean, yeah, I believe them. Like, well, no, you know what? We're not going to become a Blue Jays pod for a second, but I will say
no, we're not.
That,
you almost had us.
How could you trade Bo Bichette when he's like a career 860 plus OPS guy who's reached the 9 several times? How do you trade him the year he goes down to 550? Now it's time to trade Bo Bichette.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't looked at the the service time. Like, for all I know, I don't think he's a free agent at the end of the year. For all I know, he is. Maybe there's some stuff there that at least is the source of the rumors. But it's just funny to me, like, oh, here's a guy that was seen as like a top 10 to 15 to 20, at least 20 guy in terms of total value in baseball. And like truly in terms of, because there's the implied like cost of what he's going to cost in free agency eventually. Like, I seriously don't see a team willing to spend more than like 20 to 30th top prospect or 2 and a player to be named later on it right now. So, yeah, funny business, funny ball.
We'll end on that. I think
Freeze frame.
Perfect. All right, cool. There you go. Oh, you're still freezing. Oh no, you're actually frozen are you actually frozen? Or is that your connection? I can't even tell what you're doing. Oh, you got me. You got me with the bow.
Tune into Funny Ball every week, man. More fun like this.
Oh my God. You actually got me there. There you go.
Episode wrap.
Right,
Let's
cool.
wrap it.
Episode wrap.